Hello, spiritual seeker. And if you didn't watch my first episode, you don't know. Maybe the reason why I ring the bell is to invite God in. In India, they have a tradition of having bells at their front doors and they ring the bell and it's like saying, "Hello, God, I'm home," or "Hello, universe, I'm home." Whatever word that you use for your higher power, whether it be God, spirit, universe, Buddha, Allah. But I like to ring the bell to invite in our higher powers, spirit guides, angels, the universe that's here with us, always with us, to help guide this talk. And so today we're going to talk about what are spiritual gifts. We hear people talk about their spiritual gifts, but what are they exactly? And more important, not even just what are they, why do we have them? So spiritual gifts can be anything from, your intuitive guidance, spirit guides that show up to you, visions that you have. There's terms like claircognizant, clairvoyant, sentient, audient, and they all have different meanings. One is all knowing, one is all feeling, one is all seeing. And so some people have, spiritual gifts of having visions and sights. Some people have spiritual gifts of having a knowingness. Some people get intuitive guidance. Some people are psychic. There are spiritual gifts such as your power to choose. Your words actually are a spiritual gift because the words that you speak are extremely powerful. Your thoughts are part of your creative power to create things in your life. Your words are that same thing. And so there's a whole list of different things that are spiritual gifts. Now, a lot of what I find when people come to me, even though I tell people your spiritual gifts are your ability to create your own reality, your thoughts, your words, your power of choice, those are all spiritual gifts. Most people, when they're wondering like about spiritual gifts, they're wondering about things about being able to have visions, about spirit guides, about angels, being connected with the angels. And all of those are spiritual gifts too. But this is the really key question is not so much what are they, but why are they so important? Because I talk about that, in my experience and in my story of my life, I came in, I'm an empath. I don't know if you are. I get a lot of people who are interested in learning from me are empaths or highly sensitive people. And if you don't know what that is, an empath and highly sensitive person is somebody who's really highly sensitive, sensitive to noises, to environment, to feeling the energy. But if you're an empath, you also will be sensitive and know what another person is often feeling emotionally. And I know that's something I've had since I was young, and didn't even know what it was. I used to call this weird thing I had, when people would know I was like, when I would know when somebody was feeling a certain way, even though they weren't showing it. I would say, "Oh, I have this weird thing I can do where I know what people are feeling emotionally." And then I learned I was an empath. So, and that's one of my spiritual gifts. A lot of times people who are empaths or highly sensitive, they don't feel like it's a spiritual gift, but it really is. It's just a matter of you learning how to strengthen your energy, how to utilize those spiritual gifts as an empath and a highly sensitive person. It's one of the things I do with my students and clients as I help people to own the spiritual gift of being an empath and a highly sensitive person. I like to be the spokesperson for those people because, uh, you know, if you think they're a curse, they're going to be a curse. And if you learn how to actually utilize these gifts, then they become your superpower. And that's the thing about your spiritual gifts. They really are your superpowers. They're your ability to create your life the way you want. They're your ability to help you grow in all the different areas of your life, when you know how to use them properly. And that's the key, is knowing how to use them properly, trusting them. Like I know intuition is a big one that everybody wants to, like develop their intuition. They want to have intuitive downloads and get messages. And the, the thing is that you're always connected and getting intuitive guidance, but you don't trust it, which is what I see with most people, is that you're just not aware of it, number one, and number two, you don't trust it. Like you might get these, what I call little inklings, but you don't act on it. you get these little inklings, but you keep questioning, is this my ego, or is this my, intuition? And so, that's a spiritual gift, those inklings, but because we keep doubting it, we don't have it as a superpower. So when you trust those spiritual gifts, they're your superpowers. Now, one of the things that I really want to talk about with your spiritual gifts is why they're so important. And I want to share a little bit about my story because some people think like the spiritual gifts they have right now is all they're ever going to get and that's all they're ever going to have, and that there's nothing they can do to enhance them or to grow them, you're just born that way. And I will tell you that that's not the experience I've had. That's not true. So I did come in as an empath. I'm very, feeling oriented. Like I can feel when there's a parking spot when we go to crowded areas like a festival or something. And, that's a place where there's, lots of people and it can be hard to find a spot. And I can always feel where there's an available spot because I'm an empath. I'm very, uh, feeling oriented. I get senses in my feelings and everything. So I, was on the spiritual path for a long time, going along, and always thought I am not a visual person. Feeling oriented because I'm an empath, but I'm not visual. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can see behind me all my sacred art portals that I've painted behind me. There's many more than these, but these are just some of them. And these, most of them, have come from visions. And so, that now I'm a visual person. So before I've been on the spiritual path for at least probably 15 years and thought I was not visual, and was going along believing I wasn't visual. And then I started to do art. My wife had recommended, why don't you take an art class? You love creating, you love making things. And so I decided to take an oil painting class and started to create art. And my teacher used to yell at me across the studio, like, like, Deepa, you gotta relax, relax. You gotta relax when you're painting art, when you're painting. And so because he said that, I thought, oh, let me combine, my spiritual tools and techniques, because I'm also a meditation teacher and a yoga teacher. And I thought, let me combine this with my art. Let me start doing a little ritual. And I started doing some prayers and inviting the divine in. And I started to do some yoga postures and some pranayama, and I would sit and meditate a few minutes so I could be relaxed. And what that started to do was it started to awaken my desires for creating sacred art that would bless people. And from doing that when I began creating sacred art to bless people, from this little inkling I had that I didn't share with anybody because I was afraid in the beginning. I don't know if you've ever had that, but I was afraid to share this desire of, I want to create this art that blesses people, that feels alive, that people feel blessed by the divine in some way. And so I did that first with Yogananda and then with Our Lady of Guadalupe. And then what miraculously started happening from this little inkling of following that inkling, that inspiration, that intuition, I started getting visions in my meditation. Now, you may not think this is miraculous because you may have visions, but I was a person that when I did a guided meditation with somebody, I'd close my eyes and they would say, and now visualize the ball of golden light or the rose or something, and I'd see nothing. And I just said, oh, well, I'm not visual, it's not one of my gifts. But then lo and behold, I started creating with my spiritual tools and techniques and, this desire, this intuitive guidance I started following. I was in meditation one day and boom, got a vision. And then boom, I got another vision. And then I kept, I was getting these visions. And after about 3 or 4 of them, I realized like, oh, these are spirit guides that want to be brought onto the physical plane through my painting. And so I started to paint these spirit guides as I call them sacred art portals or spirit guide portals, but they're doorways to divine presence in some form. Depends on the form, and also a specific blessing. Typically, these visions have come with a intuitive guidance of like what the spirit guide is here to bless someone with, and so that I started creating those. And then what happened for me, continuing to follow and act on these spiritual gifts that were being presented to me, because I just never thought I was going to be visual, but was open. Like I kept feeling the inklings to what naturally came to me, which was through my feeling nature, started to act on them, and other spiritual gifts began to awaken. And so I'm here to tell you that other spiritual gifts can become awakened in you, because as I continued to create these portals, I am, and I was back then, a spiritual success coach. And one of my sacred art portals gave me an intuitive message to, I want to get into your, I want to help you. They said, I want to help you with your coaching. I want to be part of your coaching. And I was like, all right. And so they come in now. They wanted to give intuitive guidance to my coaching clients. And so now my whole coaching has become where I get the intuitive guidance from whatever portal shows up, because I ask before all my sessions with my clients who wants to volunteer. They guide the intuitive guidance of zeroing in on the issue the person's having, or what they need to do to overcome a challenge, or to step into this purpose they want to manifest. And then I give the practical coaching to apply it. So that was another spiritual gift that came, was getting this connection where I can channel with these spirit guide presences that want to help. Because as I continue to grow in my gift of owning that these spirit guides are here to serve people, I started to learn that, oh, your spirit guides are here to help you grow, to help you step into what your next step is. And so then I continued on, and then got another download from one of my spirit guides who comes in Divine Mother form, Mother Mary, and she told me to put on my website that I can tune into someone's energy and help them tune in or meet their spirit guide that's here to help them overcome a challenge or manifest a purpose. Because if they have a meaning and purpose they're wanting to bring into their life, that their next step they're supposed to step into. And so, I was really like, okay, well, I've gotten to a point in my life where I always followed the divine guidance as best as I could. And so I put it up on my website, because she said, put it up on your website, but I didn't tell a soul, because again, I was afraid. But then I realized, oh, I'm kind of been in the spiritual closet a little bit, hiding these gifts that I've been given, or I shouldn't say given, because we all have different gifts, but that I've awakened to is a better phrase. Okay. But these spiritual gifts, and I started to, realize I was in the closet. So at a business meeting, I came out of the spiritual closet, said everything I did, all the, different spiritual gifts that I had, and was to help, serve people with, I should say. And then 24 hours later, I got an email asking about, that's what was called, it is called the Personal Divine Presence Portal, that they were interested, and had my first client, went, and I, showed up for it, because I'd been given the download of how to do it. We had a first appointment where, I talked with them about what they were wanting help with, what spirit guide, they're wanting, whether it's overcoming a challenge or a purpose they want to manifest. And then I help them come into an intentional statement, and then we meditate, and then a vision comes to me. And that's what happens now. And then I go away and paint the portal, and I come back and show the spirit guide. Well, on my first one, I got a vision, but the whole time I was in the first appointment with that person, they kept talking about Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary throughout the whole appointment. But I didn't see Mother Mary. So I was a little concerned, but I went away and I painted what I saw, and I came back and I showed the person the spirit guide portal, the personal divine presence portal. And when I showed it to her, even though I was really kind of worried, because I was like, oh, like she didn't talk about this, but this is what I saw. A tear started to come down her eye. And she said, oh, I didn't tell you this, but I had an Akashic reading many years ago that told me I was to work with a fairy. And what had showed up to me was a fairy, and I had painted a fairy. And so, and then the message, she said, was just right on, and she really resonated with it. And so from then on, I knew, okay, this was another gift that I was, that I've awakened to, that was given to me by, the creator. And I was to use this. And that's when I began to realize that I was really here to start, like teaching more about being a spiritual teacher and also helping people with connecting with their guides and trusting their intuition and stepping into their purpose, that next step in their life. And so I wanted to share this story of mine because I wanted you to understand that what spiritual gifts you have right now may just be the beginning. That there can be so much more because there's been so much more that I never thought I was going to be able to do. If you'd asked me, 30 years ago, are you going to have visions and are you going to paint spirit guides? I would have laughed at you because I would have said I'm not visual at all. And I never thought of myself as, a sacred artist. And when I started to create art, when I started to, paint, it sparked this light in me that I didn't even know was alive that I just loved every minute of it and started painting every day when I first started doing it. And then it just started to, by combining the creative aspects of art with the spiritual desire to create these portals, it just, like I'd say, exploded my spiritual gifts. It really awakened me to them, so that now I utilize all of them to be of service to all the people I'm here to serve, and the mission I have here on the planet. And so I want you to get that you have more spiritual gifts than you can possibly imagine that you have, and that is about like being open and willing to become awakened to them. And I really highly recommend, if you're creative at all, to start to bring the creativity and spirituality together, because that's what awakened mine. If you're looking to, like actively do something, I do teach classes. So feel free to check out my website, deepalu.com. I don't always have the current class on there because I'll be honest, I'm not always the most organized of getting those things put up on my site in a timely fashion, but I'm working on changing that. So I'd love to hear any questions or anything that you'd like to have, or your shares of your own experiences. All right. Well, you have a miraculous day. Remember, your greatness is within you. It's time to let it out. Have a blessed day.